Okay, now let's go back to project setup because we're going to go back to building some more parts of our project. Again, this is kind of our home base. I'll make a quick note under project setup that by default auto numbering for records is on. This is why we started with record 1, and when we added a new record it said record 2. If you wanted to do custom numbering, you would just disable this, but that means for every record you're going to have to type in a number. And if the first instrument in your project is a survey, you have to have auto numbering enabled because people filling out a survey can't number their own records. So you need to have that automatic counter for surveys if there's a survey in your project. Okay, we're going to go back to Online Designer now, and we're going to choose to create a new instrument. Okay, we're going to add it after our pre-screening instrument. And now we're going to follow along on the second page of the handout, and we're going to create an instrument called follow-up. Okay, so now we've screened some people, and I'm imagining that we're going to ask some more detailed questions to people that said they broke their leg. Okay, so let's edit this form. We're going to add our first field to this project, and you can follow along with page 2 of the handout. We're gonna select a text box field and give it the field label, what is your height in inches? Question mark. We'll give it a variable name, height, just so you could see how these validations would work. Again, we're gonna put an integer, and to mess around and experiment with minimum and maximum values, we're gonna enter some here just so you could have an example of that, and then we will save that. Okay, the next field that we're going to add is going to be another text box. Here we're going to ask, what is your weight? We're going to give it the variable name weight. Again, we're going to say that this is going to be an integer. We'll give it some minimum and maximum value. I just made this up. And here I'm going to use a field note just so you can see an example, and I'm going to remind people that we're collecting this value in pounds, not in kilograms, for instance, and save it. And now we can see what that field note looks like. Okay, the next field that we're going to add might be one that's a little bit trickier for you guys to add because I'm going to be adding an image, and I have that image on my computer. You probably don't have that same image on your computers, but this is a useful field type to understand how it works. So we are going to click to add a field here, and we're going to select a field with descriptive text with optional image, video, audio, or file attachment. So as you can see just from that heading, this is a really diverse field type with a lot of different options. We still need to give it a field label and a variable name. So in this case, I'm just going to call it leg bones, and I'll give it the variable name like leg picture. But you can see that you could add, you could embed an external video, so you could link to YouTube or Vimeo. You could have it either displayed inline or inside a pop-up, or you can attach an image or an audio or video file from your computer, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to choose a file that I want to upload, and I'm going to select from my REDCap folder. And I'm going to select this image, and I'll upload it. And now I can show it, I can have it display either linked by default as an image link. That's not so helpful. So I want it to be an inline image. And then I'm going to save it. And that'll be displayed then within the form. You could do the same thing with other images, or like I said, you could embed a video. If you're going to embed a video, I recommend that you host it on Vimeo or on YouTube and then link it here, just so that video doesn't take up a lot of space on our REDCap server, because videos can get quite large pretty quickly. So for one high definition video, we could probably host 500 REDCap projects. So if you're going to embed videos in your project, post them, upload them to another hosting website like YouTube, and then embed the URL, and it could still link from YouTube and appear in your project. Okay, we're going to go on following down our instrument 2 list on page 2, and I'm going to choose a new field type we haven't done yet, checkboxes. I'm going to ask the question, which leg, bone, or bones have you broken? Okay, and we're going to code our choices just like we did before. So a number, comma, then the answer choice. You'll notice here I'm making sort of an organizational and stylistic choice to skip a few numbers. I often do that if I'm working with answer choices that have major differences. So whereas 1 through 4, the first 4 choices are all obviously different types of bones, then I'm skipping a few numbers before I go to some other choices like other or I don't know. One, that makes it easy if you're just looking at the data, even just numerically coded, you could tell there's quite a difference. Also, this allows me some flexibility to add answer choices later and have them still be numbered sequentially. Again, nobody filling out the REDCap project is going to see these numbers, so it doesn't really matter. That's just something I do for organizational purposes. We're going to give this the variable names bones broken, and we'll save it. Oh, and I'm going to make a field note here to say check all that apply. All right, now we're going to add another field type. It's going to be checkboxes, and now we're going to be asking about medications. Do you take any of the following medications? Give it the variable name meds, and save it. Add another field. Again, it's going to be checkboxes here. We're going to be asking about dietary supplements. Do you take any dietary supplements? 1, comma, none. 2, comma, calcium. 3, vitamin D. Then I'm going to skip a few and I'm going to say 10 other. Okay, give the variable name supplements, and I'm going to save it. And now this is a common way to use branching logic. We're going to add a field first. This one's going to be a text box with the field label, what other supplements. This is a common way to ask follow-up questions when you give an other option in a previous question. Give it the field label other sups. Oops, not otherwise, just other. And then save it. Okay, and now we're going to add branching logic to the what other supplements question. As you may have guessed, drag and drop logic builder, and only if supplements equals other will we display this, and we'll save that. Okay, here's a quick way to view an instrument kind of before you get into adding and testing it, but you could always just click preview here to just see what it will look like under the current formatting, noting that branching logic and calculated fields won't function in this page, and that not everything is functional, but it gives you a quick preview just so you could see what the instrument looks like. Okay, now we're going to test this form just like we did before. So we're going to go to add and edit records. We're going to choose to add a new record. We could also modify an existing one. For now, let's add a new record. And since we now have 2 forms, we can select which form we want to fill out, pre-screening or follow-up. In this case, we've already demonstrated and experimented with our pre-screening form twice, so let's just fill out the follow-up form. Okay, and now we can just make up some information here. I'll choose another one, and maybe I'll put vitamin C here. And notice, as soon as you begin accepting raw text, you can imagine people might write this in differently. They might use capital V, lowercase. So one reason to put in this other supplements field, one thing you could do is, if you've noticed as you collect more data and more people have filled these out that a lot of people are saying vitamin C, you could go back and edit this question about dietary supplements and add vitamin C as a choice there. Because really you generally want to minimize the amount of raw text you're collecting if you can avoid it, just because analyzing raw text down the road is a bit more complicated than the more cleanly formatted other field types. I'll save and exit. Okay.